Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 2, we finally get to see what the Star Wars universe could have been. What Lucasfilm can do when it doesn't have the handcuffs of the crazies who have been in charge of the last two movies. There were a lot of questions when The Mandalorian started. We didn't know, was it going to be the same mess that The Last Jedi and Rise of the Skywalker or whatever Episode 9 is going to be? Is it its own movie? Is The Mandalorian, does it have to follow these new rules? And the answer is no. It has a look and a feel closer to the original trilogy or Rogue One than it does the newer stuff. Now, I'm not 100% sure the time frame when exactly this is set. I'm guessing somewhere not too long after Return of the Jedi and before The Force Awakens. But this series has really picked up with Episode 2. Now, what do I mean by this? Episode 1 had a lot of world building. We get to see this Mandalorian, who is not Boba Fett, and as far as we know, is not related to Boba Fett, although, who knows, we'll see. It sets up more of the Mandalorian culture and how they operate as bounty hunters throughout the galaxy, and it sort of sets up what they're after. So they mentioned something called Beskar steel, and this seems to be some kind of steel that the Empire stole from them. A kind of metal that they use to make their armor that seems to deflect blaster bolts and most weapons. We also get to see that there are women Mandalorians, and they hold high places. There's a character who's a blacksmith, and she wasn't. I don't think they actually said the name of the character in the show, but she's credited as quote-unquote mother. So that would indicate that not only does she have this position, but she's important in the universe. Now, this episode is important. Why? In the first episode, we see the Mandalorian, who so far has no name other than the Mandalorian. He's a badass. And he goes around and he pretty much kills everyone. And one of my questions from that episode was, okay, well, is this guy Mary Sue? Is he just going to go around and there's really no stakes because he's so super awesome he can take out everyone? He fights a bunch of guys in a cantina. He and a droid take out an entire encampment that's holding the bounty that he's looking for. And in this episode, we find out, no, he's awesome, but not invincible. Now, at the end of episode 1, Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda, now we don't know if it's actually Yoda, but it's the same kind of species. And this little guy, he's super cute. They say it's 50 years old. The robot implies that these things grow. Different species will grow at different rates. I don't know if a 50-year infancy really makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint, but hey, let's go with it. We assume it's a baby. It hasn't said anything. It looks cute. It makes cute noises. In this episode, we get a little bit more info, which we'll get into in a second. So, as the Mandalorian has to walk out of this canyon and get back to this rancher guy he met, played by Nick Nolte. He's attacked by 4, I believe they're Boskins. There are the lizard people, if you saw the bounty hunters in the original Empire Strikes Back. I could be wrong about that name. I'm sure if you're really into Star Wars, you will correct me on that. But he kills 4 of them in a battle, and he gets a little bit messed up, but it seems like taking out 4 men is not such a big deal. So the Mandalorian, he gets back to his ship, but he finds it all torn apart by Jawas. So he catches them in the act. He manages to kill a bunch, but they get away in their gigundous sandcrawler. And the Nick Nolte guy helps the Mandalorian get to the sandcrawler. They want the Yoda. The Mandalorian's like, nope, you can't have him. What else do you want? And they want an egg. They want the Mandalorian to go into a cave with some rhinoceros-looking thing that lays very hairy eggs, and they wanted to get it. So this is the great part. So the Mandalorian goes in. He's trying to kill this thing, and it kicks the crud out of him. He's beating the Mandalorian up and down the area just outside of the cave, and Baby Yoda steps out of his little hover carriage and uses the Force to levitate this thing, so the Mandalorian ends up killing it. Baby Yoda passes out, and we see that the Mandalorian, all of his armor is completely messed up. He's hurt bad, but he gets the egg, gives it to the Jawas, who disgustingly break it open and just like stick their hands in the yolk and lick it, and that's so insanitary. But that's what happens. So we know that the Mandalorian is awesome, but he has limits. It's not that he can go wherever, do whatever, whenever he wants. He needs help. He needs friends. He tries to get the Nick Nolte guy to go with him to help with repairs on the ship and whatnot. Nick Nolte's like, nope, I like my valley. Thanks for making it quiet. Peace out, buddy. So the Mandalorian ends up flying off with Yoda at the end. Very nice, right? Very nice, except there's also the implication that those lizard people had other tracking fobs. So clearly the Empire has sent out a lot of people to get Baby Yoda. It's sort of implied that they know what it is. And I guess they would have knowledge that all of Yoda's people are Force wielders. Like maybe Yoda's not special. Or maybe it actually is the Yoda Yaddle love child. It's hard to say. So from there, we continue off. Gonna have a new episode this week. Probably tomorrow by the time this video comes out. And we'll get to see where does this take us. We sort of get out of the Western motif of the man against the elements, the single gunfighter against everything. We're back in, I don't think they gave the ship a name. Whatever, we'll call it New Slave 1 or New Slave 2 or something. I don't know. And we'll see how this guy does. Thanks for watching. This was a shorter episode for me and for them. For some reason, this episode was only, it was 32 or 35 minutes, which is very strange. Now, the first episode was 40-something minutes, which is kind of a standard length of an episode for American broadcast TV. That is technically our 1-hour shows because of all the commercial breaks they put in. This one was less. Now, this to me is a good thing. The reason is, if you watch a lot of shows like Netflix's, I would say Daredevil, but the Daredevils were actually halfway decent. If you watch like Iron Fist, the Jessica Jones, the Luke Cage series, there was a heck of a lot of padding. Way too much padding. It seems like with this, they're willing to cut the episodes down to what works, throw out a lot of the fluff, which I particularly like. It shows a real dedication to the story, and to be honest, Disney Plus really needed to hit this one out of the ballpark if people are going to sign up to pay to watch all these new shows. I think so far, it looks like a big hit. So guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more content. Usually we have more D&D, we have more comic books, and less TV and movies, but we'll talk about those too. Please leave your comment down below. What do you think of the Mandalorian? What do you think he's going to do with Baby Yoda? Give him over to the Empire, or is he going to actually develop a conscience? I'll see you guys soon.